I mean, we're already in
Like,
trouble now.
right, like,
I feel the need to apologize to our allies because it
right,
ain't about to be good. This next 4 years
right,
is not be about to be good for our
right.
allies, for
No,
NATO, for really
no,
anybody. Like this whole quote unquote America First agenda is going to put all of everybody who relies on the U.S. on their own,
like
and we're not reliable. We're not
as
reliable at all.
the night, the night that Donald Trump was elected or projected to be elected yesterday, Macron, Germany, and France, they had meetings about how they could solidify their their alliances to basically protect themselves from an America First ideology, to from the
Yes, they need to.
from a
And
withdrawal
I
from
apologize. I apologize
like
to them.
like that's that's where we are.
We're not reliable. We're not a reliable nation.
No, that is where we are. They are having meetings to say how can we restructure our alliances to make sure we're not so dependent on America being the center and the stability of the world stage. That's where
And
we are.
a lot of conservatives, when they hear that, they're like, "Oh, that's a good thing," because they're going to start paying more for their stuff. But what that means is we are less powerful now.
Right,
That's what it means. It means that
right.
like
Our
they're like not
voices.
relying on us. They're like, no, Americans are down from the world stage. Like
Right,
they're out.
right.
We
It's
need to
just
handle this ourselves, and that makes us weaker. Is what it
right,
does.
right. And that's like if we don't address those issues, like to me, that's like that isn't an issue in terms of economics, in terms of us not being dependable with like our income or
It is somewhat economics
I
because a
mean,
lot of like international, like power is about scale, and like being a big block of power, like the EU, for instance. France ain't that strong. The EU is strong, right? So when France is in the EU, it has clout, right? So likewise, the big block of the West on the economic stage is a force that you cannot deal with. But
absolutely,
when we split up, we get economically weaker too. And
absolutely,
it's almost like collectively bargaining, right? Like if I have a
absolutely,
whole company, I can bargain with prices. But if I'm by
absolutely,
myself, the insurance company is going to screw you over, right? So
absolutely.
yeah,
And I think it's both. I think their move is because they do not see us as a trustworthy
and we're
strategic
not,
ally.
we're
And that's
not.
my right. And that's my, I think the move was because of morality. And I think it's also, I mean, the reason is also due to economics. It's just like, of course, they have to act in their interests. But I think the move is to state that you
No, I
guys
don't
are
think it was economic. I was just saying we get weaker economically too.
right, right,
Like when we
right,
drop from the world stage, we're alone. We have less clout
right,
economically and
right.
militarily. So we were weaker both economically and militarily. But you're right. I wouldn't bring. I didn't mean it to bring the economy into the equation with respect to their decision to meet. That's just because they can't rely on us.
Right.
Like so, if you were expecting the U.S. to support its allies, now you probably shouldn't expect that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's scary. That is like we don't understand, and this is I may need to get some water, but this is where I hope that we don't, and then like this is up to us Democrats to not overreact. But I hope that we don't create the conditions for him to enact his ideologies. So like we can't think that he's going to be extreme. Let's hope for status quo. Let's hope that
I mean, we
there
can
are
hope for it, but I mean, what power do we have anyway? I mean, he has
we
power.
don't. We don't have any. We don't have any. And like, and of course, like it's reasonable for Democrats to strategically try to position themselves to do as much defense as possible. But yeah, we don't have power. It's just like we don't. We lost the Senate. We're projected to lose the House. Not much power. The only thing that we would have, I believe, is that like that 60 votes,
Filibuster.
and yeah, the
Yeah.
filibuster. But that's the and I guess that's reasonable. And maybe in this position where we find ourselves in, I guess now like Democrats wanted to get rid of it. Now we is it's a
Time to
good
use
thing
it.
that is there. Yeah, it's time to put it into action. Potentially, we need to have that in our arsenal. But it's unfortunate that we're here. Like I find it extremely unfortunate that the world is projecting an American withdrawal from the world stage, and they're basically
I'll project it too. I agree with him.
that's that is a world that I have never lived in, my parents have never lived in, their parents have never lived in.
Well, I hope you trust China and Russia.
Right. Well, that's it.
Because the power void is not going to go unfilled.
It's not. That absolutely isn't. And it's going to be, just to let you all know, it's going to be China. It ain't going to be Russia. It's going to be China. It's going to be China by far. And that's.
Yeah, they got the economic size.
Sure. It's just like they are strategic. I mean, they're our strategic competitor and ally. It's just like we're reliant on them and we're in competition with them. It's just like them alone is like we have a very interesting relationship with China, and like they are our only reasonable. Like, hey, Russia has a lot of nukes, and they have a lot of. Vladimir Putin is like they have a lot of power in terms of they're smart, unfortunately. Like they use intelligence because he was an intelligence agent. And so it's just like so they wield power from a military perspective. But now we're seeing their face, really. Now that the world is really seeing their face, like y'all ain't that dominant as we thought.
I mean, I think they're playing it. They got energy and they got military, and those are the two cards they play. Those are the two cards they play.
I mean, and they do. They got oil and they got military, and that's like certainly they have strength relative to others. But it's just like I think the world projected Russia to be more powerful than what they are, and it's just like
it's a problem because they're a bully. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like the thug in the neighborhood may not be like the most valuable man in the neighborhood, but he's still the one you got to look out for. Like,
right. But it's just
like even though China got more money in the neighborhood, like you're really looking out for that thug when you walk out at night.
You are, but then it's just like if you realize that thug is Jordan Peterson, and you're like, you.
What do you mean Jordan Peterson? You saying Russia's Jordan Peterson?
Yeah, I'm saying like if you find out that thug is like a 60-year-old white man with like, just like you ain't a thug, and I ain't as scared as I thought you was. It's just like
Russia. What you mean? We should be afraid of Russia?
Not necessarily.
Military?
I mean, only in one aspect, only in one, and it's the only one that matters, which is nuclear.
Yes.
But besides that. We see with Ukraine, we would destroy them. We would destroy the way Ukraine, such a small country that is just being, that is like we're just providing assistance.
Yeah, but it don't matter though, because it's just like what you said. Like, sure, let's say it's a 60-year-old white man. It's like, yeah, I'll beat you up. It's like, yeah, but you got a gun though. So, well, you know.
I mean, you got a gun, but I'm saying it's just like I said that the world is realizing that Russia isn't the big military power. Like they're only the like once North Korea really has nukes, they're just North Korea. There will be no difference between them and North Korea. Essentially, it's just like they're just waving their nukes around to get what they want, and it's just like it's either whether we're going to appease them or not. But they don't have strength in terms of like if we're doing in which the world hasn't seen. I mean,
traditional military.
Yeah, we're doing traditional military. They are gone.
Yeah, they can't stand against us in the traditional military sense. But again, we're both too big for that.
Right.
At any point, if we start losing, the nukes come out and then it's game over.
Right, and we all lose at that point. I mean, but I think the world has seen that Russia had to show some of their cards. And I think that the world is seeing is just like we're getting to see what Russia can do in a modernized military environment.
But here's the thing: Russia is actually taking action, though, right? So, like, who's the last big nation that's just been taking other nations? Like, Russia, it's really just Russia
and China. China's coming.
I don't think they've taken anything else. Maybe Taiwan, if you're talking about, but then that's arguably China. Arguably, strategic ambiguity.
You're right.